you're on a static path, you're not going to be happy. Just start.
Yeah.
There's no reason why today you can't start.
Yeah.
You can't just do something. Keep doing your thing. Like the more you shine, the more you are happy and joyous and chasing on your dreams, it'll be an inspiration for the people who know you, know of you, are watching you. I think people focus too much on the first step. The first step isn't the problem. Deciding is the problem.
How does someone start their journey when they don't come from a space of belief, when they come from such a negative environment?
So the fact that you're even asking that question as yourself already shows hope, because most people don't even ask that question. Most people don't even believe that there's anything. The fact that you're willing to ask that question already puts you ahead of most people. It means that there's a seed already there that just needs to be watered, right? Where most people, like if you start talking about hopes and dreams and possibilities, they'll just shut you down because they're not willing to listen or be open to it. So if that's you, awesome. The next thing I would do is think about, even if most of your life is crap, you know, you've bad family situation, no money, like the worst of the worst, you have the worst life, okay. What has sparked you? There's been moments. Like you're asking this question because you want to believe in something greater, and you have had moments in your life, maybe they're only once a year, that have made you feel like there's possibility, like there's hope. What was that thing? Was it going to a conference? Was it picking up a camera and pressing record? Was it talking to a friend? Was it selling lemonade? Like, what was it? What was the thing? And your first step is to bring more of that into your life and shut out the people and things that are causing negativity, bad energy. So maybe it's your parents and you spend a little time with them. Maybe it's your friends from high school that you shouldn't be friends with anymore. Like, pay attention to the things that slow you down, that make you feel bad, that reduce your energy, the energy vampires out there. Pay attention to them and try to limit exposure or cut off access. That creates a hole, a gap, right? Like you're spending all this time with these people or watching Netflix or Big Brother or whatever, right? You're consuming. How are you spending your time? What's sucking your energy, right? Limit exposure to it. Now you've got a gap. What do you fill it with? The things that make you feel motivated, boost you up, the things that you love. You working on the UPS truck may never have felt like you'd be a video guy. Like you want to have your own Netflix show, you know. Everybody at UPS may be saying, dude, what? You're a UPS guy. You're going to make a Netflix show? You don't even, did you go to school for this? All the typical excuses that people would come up with. And then the ones that you pile on top of your own head, you know, on top of what everybody else is saying. But you like movies. You know, like there's whatever your favorite movie is, E.T. or Seabiscuit or whatever, Star Wars. And so your starting point is you put up the E.T. poster on your wall at home. And you look at that. You subscribe to a YouTuber who talks about movies, whether it's Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon or whoever it is that is in your space. The more you're around that, the more you start to want to be around it, the more you start to feel like there's a little bit of hope. So that's step one. Step one is just eliminating the negativity from your life as much as possible, or limiting exposure.
Anyone can tell you, just cut the negative people out of your life. But that's a scary thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very scary thing to do, especially that negative people are your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
It causes a lot of anxiety, thinking, man, I'm going to be alone, or parents might kick me out, or my friends will stop hanging out with me, I'm not going to have any friends, or my girlfriend's going to break up with me.
Sure. First step, again, is still awareness, because most people don't even pay attention. Now, if you asked a question, which friends in your life are bringing you down, then you could think about it and you'll get some answers. But most people don't live with that kind of intention. Most people just live. And they'll complain about their boss or their friend or whatever, but they don't think, I need to cut this person out of my life. So already, the fact that you're asking that question puts you ahead of most people, right? Next is figuring out, do you need to go cold turkey and just shut it down, or can you scale back, right? Depends on your personality. Some people have to, like, I'm in decision, I'm gonna go, and some people can wean themselves off. So if that's a super scary thing for you, great. Don't cut them out of your life completely. Take Fridays for yourself. Friday is no negativity day. And then whoever are these energy stealers for you, even if it's your mom or your friends, then Friday you're not going to talk to any of them. And then you focus Friday on doing the stuff that fills you up. You're going to watch the videos, look at your poster, meditate, like whatever the thing is you need to do. Go take a class. And then you'll find yourself like, oh, I really love doing this, and then I hate this. And you'll just slowly start eliminating the things that you don't need in your life anymore. When it comes to parents, it doesn't mean that you need to cut them out of your life completely. It just means maybe spending less time with them, maybe not talking about sensitive subjects that you know will get them agitated and upset, and spending more time doing the things that you love doing. So you just start the process. Like, yes, I agree, cutting your best friend from high school out of your life might be really difficult, and I'm not going to find somebody else, and how do you make friends as an adult, and all of these fears. Great, just Friday. Just take Fridays, or Saturdays. If people are working a job and it's hard, take Saturdays to yourself. Just cut everything else off, and Saturday is going to be my fun day. And that's what I'm going to try to learn and explore and see if this crazy idea that I have might happen.
Do you believe that if you like something like that it's worth digging into and cutting off negative people and doing all this crazy stuff like talking to your parents less and things like that, like pretty much changing your environment over something that you just like?
Don't make it crazy. The whole point of starting small is that it's not crazy. You just do one thing. Like putting the poster on the wall is not crazy. It doesn't mean you're totally changing your life, right? I think of Arnold, who I know you love, and he wanted to be a bodybuilder in the time when it's like nobody was a bodybuilder and people were making fun of them. But he had Reg Park posters all over his wall, right? And when he was in the military, and he like left the military overnight to go to some competition in a different country and then snuck back in and he won, right? But step one is just, you like Reg Park for some reason? Like, it's weird when you're in your 20s to put some dude up on your wall, right? Imagine being made fun of for some guy in like a bathing suit up on the wall. But you have an idea for Reg Park, put him up on your wall. Like, it's just that one moment. Just follow your instinct for that one moment and do that one small thing. It doesn't mean you're making a radical shift in your life. Now, that one thing can cascade and become something beautiful and amazing, and likely will. But it's just about taking the decision to do one small thing. Don't think of it as crazy. It's not crazy. Don't worry about going crazy. Just start. This is why people don't start, because they think it is some giant thing that has to happen. The biggest thing that's missing is just momentum. You're just not doing anything.
Sometimes I feel negativity hides. It has a mask. Negativity is not so always easy to find. It's not so transparent like, hi, I'm here to ruin your life. Sometimes it's almost impossible to pick out, like you don't know that that's the big weight that's hanging on your shoulders. And I feel like that's something that my buddy Hilton kind of might be going through. That a lot of the things around him, I mean, his best friend treats him well. He's a nice guy. He hangs out with him. He's cool, right? His mom loves him, shows it, cooks for him, does all the things. You know what I mean? They're all great, but they're the obstacles that are still stopping him from taking that extra step.
So the very first question that I asked on this topic was, are you trying to change you, or are you trying to change somebody you know? Hilton's biggest problem is he hasn't decided for himself that he wants to make the change. Asking that question, right? You're pulling him to a different world that you believe that he wants, and he's trying to believe in himself, but he doesn't yet. He hasn't decided himself to go do something. He hasn't put the Reg Park poster on the wall. It's only because you're putting it in his head. From love, which is great, but doing it for somebody else versus doing it for yourself is a big difference. So he has to take that first step. Put the Reg Park poster up, whatever that version is for him. Everything else in dealing with people is empathy. It's understanding what they want, why they're giving you. If it's out of love but it's wrong advice, it's understanding that they're just from a different world. They don't understand. Your mom may not understand how you go from being a UPS guy to a film guy. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
And it could be, I mean, I don't know how strict or harsh or anything they were, but maybe they want you to be a doctor or something. Like, why don't you just be a doctor like all the other kids?
Yeah.
You got to go do this stupid thing and be a film guy. Like, come on, Danny.
Right.
But it's out of love. It's just they have a different version of success than you do.
Yeah.
So it's out of empathy.
Right.
It's like, if I said, hey, Danny, I mean, we're almost going through this because I need somebody who's going to film in a style that you don't want to film in. I don't want to make you do it. Like if I said, Danny, I really need this to happen. It's the short term, long term we talked about in the other video. In the short term, you would do it. And I might even ask you to do it because I really need something, and we'd pull forces and make it happen. But in the long term, it's not the best fit for what you want. And if it's not what you want, then it's not what I want either. Like, you're not going to give the best you've got on something that you love on the long term, right? So it's understanding that if you're in that kind of situation where I say, hey, Danny, I want you to film on your cell phone all these videos, but that's not what you want to do, it's how do you approach that situation with empathy, understanding, compassion, love, as opposed to fighting, right? Because if I said, Danny, I want you to film off the cell phone, like all this setup just takes too much time, dude, like lights and everything, it's just like, we missed all these moments. You'd be like, yeah, but filming on a cell phone is garbage, dude. You want to post this crap content? I want to be proud of the work that I put.
Right.
And it's blurry and I'm not focused and the audio is garbage and like you give me nothing to work with.
Yeah.
But what's at the core is just valuing different things in the moment. And so if we get back to that, then it makes it a lot easier to have a conversation. It's like, well, I value this. I want to make high production quality kind of videos, and you value just capturing the moment, right? It's like, oh, okay, yeah. So it diffuses the situation. I think the hardest thing to do with parents specifically is you have to often be the adult in the relationship. It's easy when it's somebody on your team or a friend because you're maybe equals or a team would be lower than you. But if it's your parents or if it's your boss, you have to be the adult. You have to be the adult for your parents. You got to be the adult for the boss. You bring it up. You say, I'm not happy with this, and here's why. And then try to understand where they're coming from and what they need. And if you're the person in the business context to give it to them, or they should find somebody else, and you help them find that person, or do your best while they're in transition. And with parents, just explaining so they understand what you're trying to accomplish, your hopes, your dreams, your goals, what you're scared of, so that they can have a better window into your life, more than he's a failure to the family and he's wearing our last name and he's not being successful. Yeah, you have to be the adult.
I struggle to understand why people can't take the first step.
Fear. What holds people back? Fear. Why can't they first? One, they're worried about the perfect first step. They're afraid they're going to take the wrong first step.
But do you have to go through the extreme that I went through in order to find that first step? Like, I feel like my extreme is what pushed me there. I feel because it caused so much emotional trauma in what I went through in the past. The situations, the arguments, the whatever, all those situations were accumulation that led me to this peaking point to where it's either I go for it or I'm done. Like, I'm depressed for the rest of my life, right? I'm like, hit that peaking point. Do you feel that people have to hit that peaking point? Do you feel that it's important that people hit that point where they feel like it's all or nothing?
If you're buried under a mountain of excuses, then yes. If you're buried under all these excuses saying, I can't do it because I don't have a camera and my parents will support me and blah, 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 you're building up all these lists, all these reasons why you can't do it. So then you need something monumental to crush it. But if you had more awareness, then hopefully, and even for future projects, like already you're more aware than before, and you can make minor pivots instead of having to make giant pivots. So you want to grow as a human, right? Everybody wants to grow as a human. If you're on a static path, you're not going to be happy. Just people wait too long to make a shift. So this is where most people are, and then you're growing like this. And so it's like, you need to close that gap. You either do it down here, or you wait till this giant chasm that you hate your life so much that it forces you to come up.
Right.
So if you're here, like how long do you wait? Do you wait till it's like way out here and then you're willing to just throw everything away because you hate your life that much and you make a shift? Great, then you have to. but it's not the only way to do it. If you can catch it in smaller doses, to say, okay, I'm not feeling this. I don't like this. I don't like this client. I don't like this relationship, right? I need to move on and do something else. If you can catch it sooner, then you can adjust.
I want to touch on first steps. That's the biggest thing.
I think people focus too much on the first step. The first step isn't the problem. Deciding is the problem. You haven't decided. You haven't decided to do something about this. And you procrastinate, and not you, everybody. You procrastinate over finding a solution because you're worried about what the perfect solution is instead of just doing something. But when you decide, then you find the way. It just wasn't important enough to you at that point. So the decision to leave UPS, you could have done it a year sooner. You could have. When you decided, you could have talked to your parents. You could have borrowed a camera from a friend. You could have got a job at a film company. Like, you could have done something different. The first step matters only in its significance, that you have momentum, not what the actual step was. It doesn't matter what you do. The fact is you're doing something different. Like, you've decided that I'm going to take this new path. And then once you take the first step, it's so much easier to just take another one, right? Even going through your filming career, it's just taking that first step, and then another door opens, and a door opens, and now you're picking up steam, and stuff starts happening because you're taking momentum. But the first step is very rarely the right step because you don't know what the right step is. So it may be a total failure, but it's the decision to make the first step that then builds the momentum. So the thing missing for most people is momentum. I get asked it all the time. What's my first step? Don't worry about the first step. It seems like stupid advice. But you're trying to be a perfectionist, and that's what prevents people from doing anything. So you just need to start.
So fear of failure.
Fear of failure in front of other people. Fear of failing, like you might make your own little video on the side and not show anybody and not feel great about it, but you'd be okay. But telling your parents, I'm gonna go be a film guy and not succeeding, that's real fear. That's real fear.
Yeah, I feel like priorities are a big role in taking the first step or beginning or even creating momentum in any way, is understanding priority. And I feel like a lot of people have kind of like what they think is something they need in their life is not actually something they need. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times people say, well, I need to, I need to go do this every day at 6 o'clock because without it, I can't function or whatever, right? And that thing could be stopping them from becoming great. The priorities and being able to look at priorities, like what is really important? How do you dumb down what is really, really important? So that it doesn't stop you from progressing.
And that's part awareness and part excuses.
Right.
One, you may not know. One, you may think this is the only way. But because you haven't seen enough of the world and haven't tried enough things, you don't know. Or one is you're just saying that, but you know that you don't actually have to do that thing every day.
You're lying to yourself.
Or yourself or to other people.
Right.
Right? If you're talking about Hilton, your friend, and you say, hey, come and do this thing, take that next step with me. You want to help him grow in his career. He'll give you a bunch of excuses. And half of them, he doesn't even believe himself. He's just telling you because you'll back off because he's afraid. He's afraid of doing it and it not working out.
Right.
And half of them, he probably believes it's just an awareness issue. Like he doesn't know what's possible because he hasn't taken the steps.
Right, and that's the biggest thing is not knowing what's possible. I feel like a lot of people are scared to know what their potential is. As weird as that might sound, like knowing that something better, something so good in their life can actually happen. That it's actually possible, and I feel that's what I've been trying to struggle to try to tell him was when he saved up to buy the editing computer. I don't know if he's going to be an editor. I don't know if he's going to be good. I just know that he has the inkling and the something sparks when he thinks about ideas, right? Creative ideas. And that was the same spark that I had when I first started. So when I saw that in him, I knew immediately. I was like, okay, well, let's just start with editing because editing it's an essential part in how I started, right? I started as just an editor, and so I built from that. So let's start with editing, and he saved up $3,000 for his computer, which is unreal for him, right? He doesn't make a lot of money. And when he saved up for it, I told him specifically, I said, when's the last time you saved up $3,000 for anything in your life? He said, nothing. He's never bought anything for $3,000. I said, you did it for this. Like, it's possible. You would have never thought that you would buy a $3,000 computer, ever, especially for a purpose of progressing in your life. So that's where I feel like a lot of people, struggle to realize that whatever seems impossible it only seems impossible because it never happened yet. And that comes with what you said about taking that first step.
And listen, honestly, for a guy like Hilton, the first step I wouldn't say is buy a $3,000 computer. Like, the first step is go watch some videos in editing.
And he did that. He actually did that before he bought it. That's how he knew that he wanted to do it.
Like that, just start.
Yeah.
There's no reason why today you can't start.
Yeah.
You can't just do something.
Yeah.
You have the internet. Go to YouTube.
Right.
Look it up. Do you like it? Like, maybe you watch that. So if I went to YouTube and watched a video in editing, I would hate it. Like, the most boring thing of all time. I hate editing. It's the worst. I mean, I respect it, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I would, my eyes would start blurring out immediately.
Yeah.
But for Hilton, if it's like, oh my gosh, you can
do that, right? And you can do this, yeah.
Like, that's what you need to pay attention to. When I'm watching these videos, I feel more alive, more energetic, more hopeful, more possibility. But when I'm doing all this other stuff, I feel low and negative and stuck.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay. Then the next step, I'm going to make Saturdays my fun day, explore day, editing day, or half of Saturday, right? Or 2 hours on a Saturday, right? And then if that becomes your habit and you're loving it still, then it'll just happen on its own.
Right.
You'll just buy the computer. You'll just do it.
So you feel the decision ultimately really comes down to yourself.
Well, of course, it has to be you, but you have to you got to find a small way to start. The biggest thing is people aren't just taking that first step because they make it too big a step. They either make it a giant step in terms of, like, I need to do all these things to start. I can't start editing until I have a $3,000 computer and whatever else you need to start editing, right? Or they put so much pressure on that first step working that they don't start because they want it to be perfect. But it's never perfect.
Yeah.
It won't be perfect. The first video that you watch on whatever topic won't be the perfect video.
Right, it won't teach you everything.
It won't teach you everything. Right. It's probably the worst thing because you're going to type in some stupid search term.
Yeah.
And you'll start learning some software that's not even relevant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. You look at that and then you'll see a related video and then you dive down and you learn more about it.
Right.
And now all of a sudden all you're talking about is this thing, video editing, or whatever the thing is for people.
Yeah.
And it'll consume your life.
Yeah.
In a good way. And you'll be excited and energetic and hopeful and positive and happy and optimistic every time you're doing this thing. And the more you're doing that, then it shines a light of, man, this life that I thought was okay actually sucks, right? This is okay, but when I'm here, I'm on fire. This sucks. And it'll make you want to spend more time over here.
How do you deal with a situation like that, where that person still hasn't decided within themselves and you know that you can only push them so far? That you can only say so much before it's all up to them. If it gets to the point where it's up to them. They just have to hit the button now. You've kind of like unlocked the door for them somewhat, or you bought them the key maker and they have to make the key, right? Like, how do you deal in that situation? Is that situation where now it's just up to you to step back? Or how do you proceed from there once you reach that point?
So when I'm with somebody, I'll often push them as hard as I think I can for what they need to do. And at some point, we'll hit some kind of barrier, some kind of wall where we can't get beyond it. I always want more for the person than they want or see in themselves. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And then there's some things they're willing to do and some things that they're not willing to do. And some things, the things that they're willing to do are only so small and tiny, and it's like frustrating, right? Like, dude, this is what you're doing? Like, this tiny thing? You should be here. You're doing this?
Yeah.
And I'll have to back down because I'm so emotionally committed to this.
Yeah.
And that carries them some of the way. but it's also not healthy for me.
Exactly.
So I'll back down, but I won't give up. And I have to remind myself, because I get so emotionally involved in it, that it's meeting people with compassion where they're at. It's like, this is what they're capable of right now. And if you continue to be a shining light, a shining star, you're following your dreams, you're making things happen, what's going to happen is at some point they're going to message you, because they're gonna crack. There's gonna be this little moment of weakness, this hard shell, hard exterior. Even, it's so funny you mention this, because there's a guy who just messaged me today. I'm sitting down in this chair doing a thing, waiting for you to get started, and I see an email from somebody who I used to work with, who I was pushing all the time and trying to grow, and it was super slow at doing stuff. And he left and did his own thing. And he messaged me to say, hey, Evan, I've been watching what you're doing. Congrats, man. Holy cow, you're at 2 million subscribers. I'm facing a situation. I don't know if I want to do this thing anymore. I'd love to have some advice. Where I was on this guy, and he's around me, and when you're around me, it's going to be energy anyway.
Yeah.
And nothing really happened. Some growth happened, but now, whatever else happened, now he's ready, right? So I'll meet him and hopefully help him. But if you keep doing your thing, understand that alone is already a lot. By them seeing what you're doing, and every time that you're around them, not rub it in their face and not,
Yeah, don't be a negative light.
Yeah, they said that what Danny's doing is possible, right? Like, yeah, he started as a UPS guy, now he's doing this. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know, maybe there's, right? And in that hesitation, a little moment of weakness in their armor, and they reach out, or you see it in the conversation, that's when you can actually make some real progress.
I feel like it takes more incredible patience being that person trying to help somebody than the person themselves, almost.
Yeah.
Just being patient for waiting for that light to spark.
Doing it requires insane patience.
Yeah.
And so there's some moments, and this is a judgment call, there's some times where you can get over, like we talked about before, they're here, right? And so like you have to create, sometimes you can create so much pain that they want to make a shift. And sometimes I'll go crazy hard on somebody when I feel they can handle it, because we're going to make some progress in this moment, because I feel like they're ready. And sometimes it doesn't work. Like, you can go too hard on somebody that then they just shut down and they're not receptive to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the best thing for them in that moment right now.
Yeah.
And so then it's just patience. Keep doing your thing. You're spreading light every day. Keep doing your thing. Like, the more you shine, the more you are happy and joyous and chasing on your dreams, it'll be an inspiration for the people who know you, know of you, are watching you, that it's possible. The more you shine, the more impact you go off and create, the more people will reach out and say, how do I do what you're doing? Or how do I want to go and do this thing. How did you have the confidence to go and break free? And then now they're willing to listen because of all of the things that you've created, right?
Yeah.
And side note, I think ultimately that's where you could create amazing things, and videos help create culture, right? So the people who follow me are already part of, they're on a journey, right? They've already started their personal development journey, or they're so frustrated and so lost that they just go to YouTube and type in something and they find me. They're ready. Yeah. But it's not most of the world. Like, most people are not ready for it.
Right.
That's where film comes in. That's where storytelling comes in. If you get a major hit that goes, into everybody's homes, and there's a story and a message behind it, that starts to shift people to make them think, like, he could do that. Not because he had some superpower or some spider bit him or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just an average dude who did it, right?
Yeah.
And through those stories, you might inspire them to want to go off and do something too.
Yeah, and I think that's what spawns from my want to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Is exactly that. Is to kind of put messages in storytelling, messages that come from my heart.
Yeah.
That you can't necessarily just say. So you kind of show through a story. You show through the emotions that happen in the story, emotions that you can't just describe to somebody, because otherwise it really is as simple as, like, get started and start believing in yourself. I mean, but anyone can say that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Right? But film allows me to say it in an infinite amount of ways, in different genres and different.
And helping those people will make you a better filmmaker.
Yeah.
Making the video for Hilton, helping Hilton, giving him chances makes you a better filmmaker.
Right, yeah.
Because you need to, a good film, any good piece of art, a singer, any person who's creating art, your job is to make people feel through your art. If I don't feel something by the end of your video, you failed as a filmmaker.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I need to feel something.
You need to feel something.
So how do you make people feel something? Well, the more experience you have one-on-one making people feel something, the better you can translate that into a film that then inspires lots of people.
Yeah.
If you have a podcast or interview show and want me to be a guest on it, I have two options for you. There's a link right there next to me. Go click it, and I look forward to being a guest on your show.